Shalom, family. Welcome back to the Fire and the Vision. I am the Watcher, sitting here in the lab, reflecting on history with a sober mind and clear eyes. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that hits close to home for so many of us, especially as the nation pauses to observe Memorial Day. We are exposing the roots of remembrance and looking at the undeniable patterns left behind by our ancestors.
And I am the flame. Glad to be right here alongside you, holding space for the truth. Before we get into the heavy teaching today, Watcher, I just want to take a moment to look you in the eyes and say thank you. Thank you for your service in the Army, for your dedication, and for carrying that same protective, disciplined spirit out of the military and into this work for our people. It matters.
I appreciate you, Flame. That time in the service taught me a lot about order, sacrifice, and the weight of honoring those who laid down their lives. But as we pull back the layers of history, we find that our people's connection to honoring the fallen runs far deeper than any modern military tradition. It goes back to a foundational, biblical pattern. Today we are showing how the very origins of Memorial Day are tied to the identity of the scattered children of Israel, specifically the tribe of Judah in this modern Egypt.
It is a stunning history, Watcher. When people look at Memorial Day today, they see a highly commercialized holiday. But the historic fact is that the first Memorial Day was established by freed Black Americans in Charleston, South Carolina, right at the close of the Civil War in May 1865. Over 10,000 former slaves, alongside Black missionaries and teachers, came together at a former Confederate prison camp where hundreds of Union soldiers had been buried in a mass grave. Our people went out there, dug proper graves, built a fence to protect them, and beautifully decorated the site with flowers.
Think about the spiritual weight of that action, family. They held a massive procession, singing spirituals and lifting up prayers to the Almighty. That was the literal blueprint for what the world now calls Memorial Day. This act of reclaiming the dead and setting up a formal remembrance is an exact manifestation of the commands given to our forefathers. Look at Exodus 12:14. It says, "And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to Yahshua throughout your generations." Even when our minds were blinded by the trauma of captivity, our spirits instinctively knew how to execute a memorial.
And yet, if you pick up a standard history textbook today, that entire narrative is buried. A group known as the Daughters of the Confederacy and other revisionist institutions stepped in decades later to systematically steal, sanitize, and rewrite that history. They shifted the focus entirely away from Black initiative, transforming a day born from the celebration of liberation into a narrative that highlighted and comforted the defeated systemic structures.
But you see, Flame, men can alter the words in a textbook, but they cannot erase a genetic and spiritual blueprint. The pattern remains ours because it is woven into the law of Yahuwah. Look back to Exodus 17:14, after the defeat of Amalek. Yahuwah told Moses, "Write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua." He even revealed himself there as Yahuwah Nisi, "The Almighty is my banner." When our ancestors raised their voices and placed those flowers in Charleston, they were raising that exact same banner over the fallen warriors who fought for freedom.
It was an act of national preservation. Just like Exodus 28:12 and verse 29 describe how the high priest carried precious stones engraved with the names of the children of Israel on his shoulders and over his heart as a continual memorial before Yahuwah. Those stones, with their distinct, vibrant colors, kept the identity of the entire nation alive in the holy place. When our people gathered in Charleston with armfuls of local flowers, creating a sea of color over those graves, they were subconsciously doing the exact same thing, bearing the weight and the memory of their brothers over their hearts.
Exactly. We see this repetitive requirement for physical markers throughout our journey. In Joshua 4:7, when the waters of the Jordan were cut off, Joshua commanded that 12 stones be taken out of the riverbed. The text states clearly, "And these stones shall be for a memorial unto the children of Israel forever." Why? Because a nation that forgets its markers is a nation that loses its direction. Our ancestors in the South didn't have access to the pristine marble monuments of Washington, but they built a wooden fence and stood as living stones to mark the spot where the fighters for their liberation rested.
That preservation of memory is an act of spiritual warfare, family. It reminds me so much of Nehemiah 2:20. When the adversaries tried to interfere with the rebuilding of Jerusalem, Nehemiah stood up with absolute authority and told them, "The Elohim of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore we his servants will arise and build. But ye have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem." Nehemiah was speaking directly to our enemies, asserting that the heritage and the memorial belonged strictly to the Yehudi, to Judah. The daughters of the mockers tried to claim a portion in our modern memorials, but the root of the action doesn't belong to them.
It belongs to the seed. This is why our adversaries have always worked so hard to wipe out our history. Because if you can isolate people from their milestones, you can control their future. But look at how Esther 9:28 outlines the survival strategy for our race through intense adversity. It says that these days of remembrance should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city. And that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. We are a people of survival, and our very survival is tied to the act of not letting the memorials perish.
That is why this isn't just about a holiday, family. It's about a relationship. Psalm 135:13 declares, "Thy name, O Yahuwah, endureth forever, and thy memorial, O Yahuwah, throughout all generations." Our relationship with the Creator is designed to be an everlasting memorial. When we stand up in intellectual rigor and historical truth, reclaiming the things our ancestors established through their tears, we are aligning right back with that everlasting name.
And that alignment brings a sweet fragrance before the throne. In Matthew 26:13, Yahshua spoke of the woman who anointed him with precious ointment, saying, "Wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman hath done, be told for a memorial of her." True deeds of devotion, love, and community protection are never lost. They are preserved by the Creator himself as an enduring testament.
Think about how that connects directly to the record of Cornelius in Acts 10:4. The angel of the Elohim appeared to him and said, "Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before Elohim." Family, see the complete picture. When our ancestors cried out in those hidden brush arbors of the South, when they gave their lives on the front lines of the Civil War, and when they gathered to honor the dead in Charleston, every single one of those actions went straight up to the throne as an everlasting memorial.
Family, recognize the pattern. This consistent drive to honor the fallen, to guard our national identity through the fiercest white supremacy, and to give the glory to Yahuwah proves exactly who we are. Even when we were blind, when we didn't fully comprehend our lineage as the scattered elite tribe of Judah in this wilderness, we still walked out the scriptural protocols perfectly. Our spirits remembered what our minds had forgotten.
It is time to step out of the distorted lens of biased histories that try to minimize your value or make you feel like a bystander in this land. The first Memorial Day belonged to your ancestors, and the covenant promises of Yahuwah belong directly to you. No one can steal your memorials or dilute your identity anymore. Continue to walk in this truth, guard your history, and honor the sacrifices of those who broke the physical and spiritual chains before us.
Stand strong, remember your pattern, remember your identity, and thank you for being part of the journey. Until next time, this is Watcher. Flame, take us out.
Thanks, Watcher. Family, if you love this episode of The Fire and the Vision, do us a huge favor. Like, comment, share the link, and subscribe on YouTube. Prefer audio? Find us and follow the show on Spotify. And as always, stay watchful, stay lit, and keep the fire burning.